Asus Expert Mining Motherboard. Asus announces B250 Expert Mining Motherboard, 19 expansion slots. As you can see in the picture, it does have 19 expansion slots, 18 1x PCIe slots, and 1 16x slot. It also has 3 Molex connectors to provide power to those slots, and 3 ATX 24-pin headers for power supplies. Also of note, this board has an HDMI output. I know a lot of people ask ASRock to include an HDMI output instead of DVI output on their ASRock H110 BTC Pro Plus motherboard. So it looks like Asus has listened to your requests and has added an HDMI output instead of a DVI output. Here you can see another photo of the motherboard. And the article again states that it has 19 PCIe slots, triple ATX 12-volt headers, and voltage stabilization capacitors for each PCIe slot. Here in the photo you can see the capacitors for each slot. The article goes on to say that this board will give a shorter return on investment due to the fact that you only need one CPU, one SSD, one set of RAM for all of your GPUs. And according to Asus, when this board launches, it will only be able to run 16 GPUs max due to driver limitations in Windows. I'm not clear on Linux limitations. The article goes on to say that this is accomplished by mixing 8 AMD and 8 NVIDIA cards together on the same board. And it also says that in late 2017, AMD will release drivers that will enable this board to use all 19 PCIe slots with 19 GPUs. And if using more than 13 NVIDIA GPUs, it says that you'll have to use the specific mining GPUs like P106. Again, the board has 18 1x PCIe slots and 1 16x slot. Asus has separated the 19 PCIe slots into 3 groups, each group getting its own 24-pin power header. The top 24-pin covers slots 1 to 7, as you can see highlighted in red in the photo. The middle header covers slots 8 to 13, as you can see highlighted in blue in the image. And the last 24-pin covers slots 14 to 19, as you can see highlighted in yellow in the product overview image. There are also 3 Molex power connectors on the motherboard to provide those slots with additional power, one for each of the 24-pin headers. When booting up the board, users will be greeted with a post-user interface, which will show which PCIe slots have working GPUs, which PCIe slots get an error, and which PCIe slots do not have any GPUs. We can see in the photo that working GPUs are represented with green, error GPUs are represented with red, and no GPUs are represented with gray. The motherboard uses the B250 chipset with an LGA 1151 socket, which supports Intel 6th and 7th generation processors. It can take up to 32 GB of DDR4 dual-channel RAM, supporting speeds up to 2400 MHz. It has 4 SATA 3 ports for storage, and can have a total of 6 USB 3.1 and 4 USB 2.0 ports. The input-output panel has 2 PS2 ports, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 4 USB 3.1 or 3.0 ports, HDMI, Intel LAN, and audio. In the article it does say USB 3.0, but underneath the article in the specifications chart it does say USB 3.1. So those ports are either 3.0 or 3.1. Here you can see the input-output panel. Here you can see a screen on the BIOS which shows that the board does have mining mode, just like the BioStar TB250 boards. This image shows you the capacitors for each PCIe slot. And this image shows you which 24-pin header powers which PCIe slots. Last, there's an image of how to set up the GPUs. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure what it says is that slots 1 to 8 can take either 8 AMD or 8 NVIDIA cards, and then you can use slots 9 to 16 for up to 8 of the opposite card that you put into the first 8 slots. And in the bottom left-hand corner, it says 9 to 11 with a star, and that would mean that you could use up to 19 AMD GPUs once AMD updates their drivers to accept a total of 19 GPUs or more. So I'm really excited to try out this board. I hope I can get one to try out. And I hope you like this video. I hope it helped. And thanks for watching.